We're diving deep. You already know we're diving deep. These last videos that I have been doing, these last few videos that I have done, has been placing a very special emphasis on the basics, on learning the basics, and on cultivating. All right, I'm back. I've been focusing on cultivating the basics and learning the mundane arts and sciences, the rudimentary skills before or simultaneously, if you're already on this path, while learning and cultivating your metaphysical and occult practices, right? And then I remembered that I left out some key information. And so I'm back to share why I'm emphasizing this. And I don't really hear this emphasized a lot in the occult community. We all like to show you how deep our wisdom goes. But I don't see many people pointing you back to the basics. So I just want to share with you an ancestor who brought it to my attention, who checked me and reminded me, girl, you better go learn the basics before you over here trying to talk about some sex magic, right? And so the ancestor who checked me, I like to call him doctor. I'm going to refer to him as doctor because he's a doctor in my book. Dr. Pascal Beverly Randolph, who just so happens to be an African American scholar, author, Rosicrucianist, and so much more. At a time when it was dangerous for black people to even be able to read, Dr. Randolph was writing books. Okay. That's how gangster he was back in his day. And I was reading one of his books about sex magic. And I'm going to be honest, I didn't get through the whole book because I got checked. It was a reminder in there to learn the basics, to learn psychology and philosophy, mathematics and physics. As a matter of fact, when I was reading his book on sex magic, I just went on a whole tangent and turned into a physicist. I was over here learning how things work, creating equations to measure time. I was over here learning chemistry by none other than the honorable ancestor, Dmitri Mendeleev. I hope I pronounced your name correctly, who created the periodic table. And I was learning about his mother. God bless you, Mama Mendeleev, for making sure that he got to that university before you took your last breath. You made sure your son made it to where he needed to be so he can cultivate his genius. And Mendeleev, he felt indebted to his mother, and he made sure that he didn't waste that opportunity that was presented to him. And I'm over here tearing up. I'm feeling emotional because, wow, when you hear his story, his mother had like so many children. His father passed away when he was young. And his mother put him on a horse. Come on, hold my horse. I'm going to get you up to this university. You ain't like all of us. I see something special in you, son. I'm going to make sure that I do what I can to sow my seed. I don't have no money. I don't have nothing. But I'm going to take you up here to this university and see if they will accept you. The first university turned them down. They said no. You know what mama did? She said, I don't give a damn. Come on, we're going to go over here to this university over here. They got back up on the horse. They rode down to the other university. And they accepted him. And then Mendeleev was so gifted that he was over here dreaming about what the periodic table would be. And here we are all of these years later, still referencing, utilizing, and learning about the periodic table, which tells us, I mean, it's so important. I know in school we be looking at it and we be like, God damn, we got to learn about the periodic table. But as you mature and you realize that the periodic table gives you the breakdown of how everything is constructed, it gives you the basic, rudimentary, elementary structure of everything that's in existence. Like, he was cracking codes. What? Cracking the codes of creation. And so these were some of the things that I have been discovering while doing the studies that I was directed to by my ancestor. And I call him doctor. He's a doctor in my book, the honorary doctor. Pascal Beverly Randolph. And while studying under him, I remembered how once upon a time I came across this concept called the seven noble, I think it was sciences, or was it arts? The seven noble arts, where it was seven branches of schooling that people back in the day, like our ancestors back in the day, would have needed to learn and cultivate in order to ensure their freedom. Because it was a belief that if you knew these seven noble sciences, that means you had the keys to being free, to being a free thinker, and to being a free spirit, and a free person, and a free, okay, you understand what I'm saying? And I feel as though a lot of times in this metaphysical community and in this occult community, a lot of times the basics are overlooked. The basics, may seem as though it doesn't matter because we want it to go meta, like metaphysics, which is beyond physics. We're wanting to go beyond physics, but we're not getting the basics of physics first before we start trying to go beyond. And I felt like it was important for me to share my findings because, I am a scholar. I am a scholar at heart and in nature. And like, it's my alignments at birth to be a scholar, to be a guru. Jupiter is my chart ruler. My moon is in a Jupiterian house. I have a stellium in a Jupiterian ruled. Okay. Astrological sign. My life path is number 3. So it's just so many things that are pointing me to the direction of, doing the studies. And then coming forth and sharing what I find from my studies so that I may help somebody else who's on this path. And I just want to remind you, anyone, my younger self, or if I reincarnate again and I happen to find this video, me, I'm me. Or if you're connected to me in any way, if you're part of my, tribe or family or clan or cluster or, I just want you to know, study the basics. What do I mean by basics? I mean that our ancestors who was doing like this astrology and occult science and alchemy, they also had a very good understanding of chemistry and physics, science and mathematics, language and history, philosophy and psychology, arts and music. These are some skills that we may take for granted. These are the very same skills that we were introduced to in elementary school and beyond. And I know when we get over here to the occult side of the house, a lot of us feel as though those days are behind us. Now we going above and beyond. We so extra spiritual and whatever else we might try to classify ourselves as being. And I am just wanting to give you a gentle reminder. Now, all of that is beautiful. I respect all of it. That was me until I got checked by Dr. The Honorable Dr. Pascal Beverly Randolph, right? He checked me. He said, girl, you better go back. And I thought I was going to be learning about sex magic, y'all. That's the book that I picked up of his. It's a book on sex magic. I'm thinking I'm about to be over here. Okay. And he said, I mean, that's the message I got when I was reading the book. You might read the book. You might get a different message. But when I was reading the book, it was like he was telling me, go learn the basics. Stop playing with me. You ain't ready for this yet. Go learn some physics. Now I was so deep in physics, y'all. I was learning with Sir Isaac Newton. He had me doing what's that? Necromancy. But I wasn't going to graveyards, y'all. I wasn't doing no gravesite rituals. I was learning history. History. I know, right? We overlook that. We just want to go straight to the cemetery and start leaving offerings and summoning spirits. When we can learn history as a nice, smooth transition into necromancy, is learning about history. You see, it's like we be overlooking the basics. You see how simple that was? You see how I put that together to you? Now, what necromancer is going to get up here and tell you to learn history? I haven't heard any yet. I haven't. Stop overlooking the basics. Learning the basics can take you so far, and I'm going to just share one more jewel of wisdom that I have discovered, and that is whatever it is you're interested in. I don't care what it is. I'm drawn to astrology. That's like my first love. So if you happen to have an affinity for astrology, I'm just going to use that as an example because mostly on this channel, that's what I talk about is astrology. If you really have a love for astrology, here's one more tool of advice is to go and learn about the history of astrology. Modern astrology can only take you so far. No cap. What we're going to have to do, I recommend to you what I had to do. I'm not going to put you in it. I'm going to put me in it. What I had to do is I had to start learning from the ancestors. As a matter of fact, I got a working definition from the ancestors on what astrology is really about. You want to hear it? Here it go. I wrote it down. I'm going to read it to you verbatim, okay? How I notated it from my studies, all right? It says, okay, so our working definition for astrology is as follows. To reconstruct the past, to understand the present, and to predict the future. If you notice, there are several steps that we have to take in order to get to prediction. First, we need to reconstruct the past. We got to have an understanding of what happened, what went down in the past. What did our ancestors know? Then we got to figure out what the hell is going on now. How does that apply now? How is the knowledge that our ancestors knew? How does the wisdom that our ancestors knew in the past, how is that applicable now in the present? How does that help us to have a better understanding of what's taking place right now? A lot of these astrologers, what they won't tell you is how they be getting information and all of these datas and these stats on what these planets do and what they finna do is because they studied history. They studied what it took place when whatever transit is happening now. They look back at what was happening when the transit took place in the past. And that's how they're coming up with these predictions. A lot of them don't tell you the steps, though. I'm telling you the steps. Exactly how I got it from my ancestors, okay? From our ancestors. Not just my ancestors, our ancestors, okay? I don't care if you white as snow or green as, I don't know, money. Or as purple as a Skittle. We're all connected. We are all one. We are all none. All right. And then And then once you get an understanding of, once you're able to reconstruct the past, once you're able to reconstruct what our ancestors knew, and get an understanding of what the hell is taking place now in the present, now you become in a position to start predicting the future. And I'm going to tell you something else that a lot of people may not tell you. And I'm going to sip some tea before I say it. Hold on, let me sip some tea so it can go down smooth. It's going to take a while. Man, I've been studying for a minute. I know I look youthful, beautiful, vibrant, my skin glowing. I'm looking fabulous, right? I've been studying for a long month. What? I've been studying for a long time. And I want to say that I've been studying for many lifetimes. It's like somehow, some way I picked up where I left off, like snap out of it. This is what we were learning about before in our last life. Can you pick this up and start, okay? Build on the knowledge that we already had. That's what I feel like. I feel like I'm picking up where I left off at. Because it ain't no way that I'm getting as deep as I'm getting without having this, do this before in previous lifetimes. Once again, reconstructing the past, gaining an understanding of the present. Now we can predict and start creating the future. I added in the create part. Thank you, ancestors. And see, this is why we always emphasize sharing love to the ancestors. A lot of us get so hooked up on the ancestors who are our actual flesh and blood. I'm going to tell you that you have ancestors in spirit who you may feel as though y'all not kin to each other, but once again, we are none. We are one. I don't care what walk of life you come from. I feel like I could learn from you and you can learn from me. You're my ancestor. And I respect you for being willing to share your wisdom. For anybody who was willing to come along in the future to pick it up and go and run further with it. Never underestimate the basics, y'all. I mean that with the bottom. You saw me over here tearing up. I'm serious. This is so serious, and I feel like it's left out. And I know a lot of y'all don't want to hear this. A lot of y'all don't want to hear this. Y'all don't want to hear, goddamn it, learn the basics. Because y'all feel like y'all above and beyond the basics. But I'm telling you, until you have a good foundation and a good structural basic understanding, it's going... Fill in the blank. Just fill in the blank. Fill in the blank. Signing in, out, above, beyond, below, beneath, underground, all around, uptown, downtown, midtown. Here, there, anywhere, everywhere, nowhere. Past, present, future, now. I'm out.